start this episode. This is our new weekly breakdown/review of the Halo TV series. So we will be spoiling heavily. So if you have not started Halo, I would recommend turning this off immediately. We're doing episode 1 right now, but this will be at the beginning of every episode. So obviously, as episodes go on, just pay attention to which episode it is. And if you haven't watched that, then I would recommend turning this off, because we'll be breaking down each episode and reviewing it, and also speaking about the Halo games. So if you are wanting to play the Halo stories or the Halo campaign and care about the stories, I'd recommend not watching or listening to these either. So without further ado, we'll get into the episode here. Welcome to the Current Backloggers. I'm your host, KCP, along with my good friend and co-host, Cal. We're here for another discussion for Halo, the TV show. This time, episode 4, Reach. How's it going?
Good. You know, I was thinking about this before,
Mm-hmm.
sometime today. There's a lot of shows out right now. And I'm a little overwhelmed by it. Because, the last Airbender show just came out. I watched all of it. It was good.
You like it?
I enjoyed it. They're getting a lot of hate.
Yeah.
It gets a lot of hate because it's not, shot for shot of the animated one. But I liked what they did with it.
I got you.
And then, Halo's out. I feel like there's The Walking Dead show came out
Probably thinking of that.
with Rick.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. I watched that.
Haven't seen that yet.
First episode was good.
Okay.
I just needed Rick back on screen.
Yeah.
So that was good. But yeah, there's just a lot of content out there.
I'm a little confused why he left, because he said he was getting tired of The Walking Dead, and I get it's been a long time. But why leave just to come back to The Walking Dead? And the show could, I think, been so much more solid if he just stayed on it.
Yeah, that was my issue with the later seasons. There's no Rick.
Yeah.
It's okay, this show is so different without him. I don't know why he left either. I know they were going to do movies instead, but those kind of fell through because of COVID and everything. So now they're just back to all these tiny 6-episode shows. So the main series ending made no sense.
Yeah.
Because it's basically, this is Walking Dead season 12. It's just in tiny little episodes. But yeah, I'll watch it. It has Rick.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll watch it as well. I'm just so behind. I finished The Walking Dead, but all these spin-offs, I've started some, need to start, so it's hard to even keep up with all this fucking spin-offs they've been doing now.
Yeah, I tried to watch, World Beyond, and
Beyond.
That was just a no. It was not good. The Daryl show was interesting. I think it was just called Daryl Dixon or something. He just goes to France. It's nothing crazy, but had some interesting things in it. And it's Daryl. I like Daryl a lot.
Do they explain how it gets across the water?
Oh, no.
They say that seems like a big plot point that would be...
He kind of just lands on the beach in the first episode. And I think they start to explain it. I didn't finish it, but I think they start to explain it as you go, how he actually ended up there. Because he's also looking for Rick, because that's what everyone's doing these days. Michonne left the show to look for Rick, and then Daryl is looking for him. So I don't know how he ended up in France. But yeah, so they're kind of pulling stuff out of their butt.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's a lot of content. It's a good time.
All right.
In movie theaters, too.
Yeah.
Got Dune Part 2, Kung Fu Panda 4. There's some other stuff, too. Another Ghostbusters movie, Godzilla. It's a big month. And Halo.
Yeah.
All month.
That, I love Ghostbusters, and that last one they did, I think, is one of the best Ghostbusters, but this new one, the trailers do not look good to me. I hope the full movie is better than the trailers.
Yeah, I really liked the last one as well, so I'm, hoping it's good, but not really hyped.
Yeah.
But I'll go watch it just to see
what
they're going to do with it.
Anything else you want to talk about before we get into this episode here?
Nope. That was my only thing.
All right, so this episode 4, Reach, aired February 22nd, coming in at just under 45 minutes. And if you want to get into it, we can do it here.
And it's crazy that it's 45 minutes because it was 45 minutes of stuff actually happening, which most of the season that hasn't been the case. At first, I the first scene, I was like, oh no, here we go, because Vanek is just talking to some pigeons. Um, they all have names that rhyme. It's like Lenny
Yeah.
and Kenny and Jenny, maybe, but they all rhyme, and he's just feeding his pigeons. But then in the background, there's just like buildings exploding, and Reach is starting to get wrecked.
Yeah, it's first time you see Reach starting to fall.
Yeah, and I think they were just kind of showing that it's like the calm before the storm. Vanek's just feeding his birds, and then all hell breaks loose.
That and something else I'll say later in the podcast. I think come back to that.
Yeah. So then we get to Chief and Perez kind of running around after the explosion goes off, because that's how the last episode ended. I think they were just sitting and the explosion went off, or they were talking to each other. And basically, I messed up with how I wrote this down. I think Perez falls down and John helps her up. That's not what I have written, but I think that's what I meant.
I think so.
I think she just kind of falls down and helps her up, and he yells at her that her family is gone, and the camera kind of pans out to show a bunch of explosions and power going out, and then we get the intro.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. I should have started before we went into our thing here. I said last episode how I think this is the first time I feel like I said I was very confident that this would be an action episode, and thankfully it was that. And I said I also hope they just go directly into it, because a lot of times they just jump around shit, and they did that. That's why I'm glad you said that, because it reminded me. So I'm glad they did that. There's still some issues I had with it. One of them being, I know they explain it later, the no suits, but
oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, I don't think the Halo show should have that at all, but I get this is different. You're going to handle it different. I think that everybody's saying, well, of course, that's the story point. They don't have their suits that are ambushed. They didn't know it was going to happen. But I think that's a lame excuse when they haven't had it for 90% of the other series.
Yeah.
So
like the whole show
falls a little flat.
Yeah, the whole show he doesn't have a suit. And then the time that we want him in a suit for all these action scenes, no. And no one gets a suit.
Yeah.
Which is really annoying. And it was my biggest complaint about the episode.
Me too. Did you watch that video I sent you about the editing of the Halo outfit? The show?
No, I didn't. I meant to.
Okay. We can talk about it next week then.
Okay. Yeah, I meant to watch it.
Oh, no, you're good. Connect to this, so we'll come back to it.
Okay.
But feel free to continue. I interrupted enough.
I don't remember what I was saying.
You left off the intro, I believe.
Oh, the intro. Yeah, so the intro starts, the nice, cool, soothing intro with the only actual piece of Halo music in the show. But the next scene after the intro, we're back to Soren and Halsey, and they're in the simulation room. Soren is aware that something's happening outside. He's not sure exactly what, but he's like, something's going down. And Halsey kind of makes small talk like she cares about him, because she's like, glad to see you again.
Yeah.
And he's not having it. He's like, you're like my least favorite person. Like, I don't want to see you at all. And then the simulation room turns off, and Soren's just ready to walk out, and Halsey's like, don't do it. You could get electrocuted. And he's just like, no, I need to get out of this room because you're in here. I'm so annoyed by you. But then she follows him also. That's pretty much what that scene is. So they escape from their prison. Ackerson's also nowhere to be found in this episode.
That's true.
Which I think they do explain that, because he takes their suits, which we'll learn about here soon.
Yeah, there's a few people that were nowhere to be seen this episode. Some for the best, some for the worst.
Yeah. Thankfully, this wasn't a Quan Ha episode.
Yeah, that's one of the best. Yeah.
Yeah, because we were worried about this, honestly, from the start of the season, that they would just drop in a random Quan Ha episode when everything was getting good. They didn't do that, thankfully.
Yeah.
We actually got what we wanted. So yeah, that scene, Soren and Halsey are free together, and they don't like each other, so it's a big point. And then we go back to Perez and John. I just call him John now because he's never wearing the suit. So
Yeah, the show pretty much applies. I have a note about that later in this episode as well about that.
like he's not Master Chief. He's John.
Yeah.
Like Master Chief doesn't exist. But Perez is really freaking out while she's with John, and John says that they need to get back to FleetCom and get his gear and help with the defense. Gear meaning he wants his armor.
Yeah.
Clearly wants his armor. And he basically just tells Perez, like, hey, you don't have to follow me, and she follows him anyway.
Yeah.
I think she's more concerned about her family, which makes sense. John is more concerned about, the defensive reach, and she's
definitely.
just like, no, I don't care. I want to help but I think her family's dead.
Yeah, I feel like they're implying that. Maybe they won't be later, but yeah, it seems like that's what they're inferring.
Yeah. So then, like, Perez is kind of just starting a panic in the streets, and then multiple people just start getting thrown by elites. You kind of see, like, this shimmer, and then they start grabbing them and tossing them.
Yeah,
and
they were cloaked, which was real cool of them rushing there like that. You don't know what's happening until you start seeing it.
Yeah, it was super awesome. John knows immediately that it's elites, and he just runs up and tackles one. John could definitely play football based on this tackle. It was very efficient.
Yeah.
So he just full on tackles one, and then just pulls out a knife and just starts going ham on this elite. And
he loves doing it to their faces. It's a little weird.
Yeah, that's like his thing. He's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna take out their face. And I thought this was cool because, like, we know that Spartans are so much bigger than regular humans, but a normal person wouldn't just tackle an elite, and he just straight up did it and succeeded. If a random guy just did that was like 5'7", the elite would just bounce off and just grab him. He's a full-size Spartan, so that was cool. I like that scene. And I think there's just more elites cloaked here and just kind of terrorizing citizens and killing people. But good scene.
Oh yeah, very well done.
I think all the action in this episode was really awesome, especially like the close quarters stuff and all the weapons, and we even got to see jackals at one point, which talk about that scene later. But yeah. So then after, wait, do you have anything to say about this scene?
Not to that point, no.
Okay. So then after this, we're back to Soren and Halsey, which it's kind of a flip flop. This episode is kind of John, Halsey.
Yeah.
It's kind of a flip flop the whole episode. And they're just kind of walking around trying to escape. Soren goes the opposite way because he doesn't want to be near her.
Yeah.
Like, it's very clear. And Halsey tells him he's going the wrong way, but I mean, he's just like, no, I don't want to follow you. That's pretty much what that scene was. There wasn't really anything else in it. And then we're back to John and Perez, and they're still running around. They get in this building, and Chief has this axe, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
And John looks at Perez and is like, you need to relax. Like, she's clearly not doing so hot with this whole Covenant on Reach thing. And I think he finds a hammer and grabs it, maybe, or a tool. He grabs something.
Yeah.
That isn't the axe, but then he tells this story about flipping a coin and always guessing that it's heads. And he says he knows when he's in battle, he knows he will lose someone, but it won't be him.
Yeah.
So he's very confident in his fighting abilities, which I feel like might have been foreshadowing, maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Seemed like it. Did you? I won't lie, I did not catch it all until somebody started posting kind of, I wouldn't say trend, because sadly nothing really trends with this show, but did you see the Easter egg in this scene, or did you hear about it?
Mm-mm.
Because that girl is like a relic collector and like, what would you call it, like an antique collector, and on the shelf, she has an original Xbox on the shelf. I thought that was cool. Seems like the kind of stuff that would be in the show more, but the more that kind of stuff's in here, the more you're like, seems like you understand the people are watching this, but then you seem like you don't
Have
care about
no
what I'm
idea.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not notice that at all.
Yeah, I definitely didn't either till other people started talking about it, but it was cool.
Because, yeah, the next thing I have is that old lady just pops out with a gun and shoots at them and tells John to be careful with the axe because it's 600 years old. And they try to tell this old lady that she needs to leave because it's unsafe, and they want to take her with them to FleetCom.
Yeah, they all seemed way too unfazed by the fact that her shooting and them almost getting shot at. I know it was a misunderstanding, and I know that they're soldiers, but they just went straight into casual conversation after
Yeah.
that. I was like, all right.
Like, oh, he just shot at us. That's fine. Yeah, these are 600-year-old artifacts.
Yeah.
Don't drop that. Thanks for shooting at us. Come back to FleetCom with us.
Yeah.
I mean, that lady was ready. She was ready to pop some aliens with her old, like, shotgun, I think is what she had, or rifle or something.
Yeah.
It was an old gun, definitely, though. Like, this was not a futuristic weapon whatsoever, and she was just ready to shoot some aliens, which is interesting. But then they tell her the Covenant are going to glass the planet and no one will survive, but this lady is like, I'm not leaving, and they leave her behind. She was like, nope, protecting my Xbox.
It's an original Xbox here.
She's like, I got the first Halo game. I'm not leaving.
She's like, in this game, you wear the suit. You should try it out sometime.
That's what they should have done. It's like, aren't you supposed to be wearing this?
He's like, I'm Master Chief. No, I see Master Chief. You're not going to trick me.
You're John, right? But yeah, so that's that scene. And then we get back to Halsey and Soren again. And they're still, walking through these hallways. And then Halsey tries to make small talk again about Kessler. She's just really trying.
Yeah.
Here. And Soren is like, I'm not talking to you about this. Like, I don't like you. He doesn't say that, but it's clear with his body language and how he's been acting the whole time that he doesn't like her. And then she just starts talking about how he always wanted to be a Spartan and stuff like that. And I didn't write down the entire conversation, but she was definitely trying to get him to like her.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they walk into this room, and there's just bodies everywhere. And they realize it's the Covenant and grab weapons.
Yeah.
So they are armed.
About time.
Yeah. So then we get back to John and Perez, and there's a small shootout happening between Covenant troops, and I think Riz is there.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Chief grabs a gun, and looks like, I think they ask, like, should we go around them? And Chief is like, nah, we're going through them. And a few of them die from the plasma rifles. Then this pretty awesome action scene starts to happen where there's like an explosion. It kills a couple elites, and then they all go inside a building. And from there, it gets pretty crazy and pretty cool.
Yeah.
They take out a couple more. They go up these steps, and I think Riz throws a grenade at them.
Yeah, she does.
And just blows up a bunch of them. And then she throws another grenade and kills more. But I don't remember who this guy is, but someone dies. It's a minor character.
Yes, it's I don't know his name, the blind dude.
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to be funny or the diverse thing we talked about. I'm glad he died because it was getting more and more ridiculous. More guys there that you have super soldiers and they hand a fucking blind guy a gun. All right, you can save us. I was like, what? This guy's blind. Why does he have a weapon? So yeah, him dying, I was like, okay, that's probably for the best. This is getting a little silly.
Yeah, and so I have his name. It's Danilo, something like that. I had no idea who he was. I was like, cool, he's dead. But the grenades being thrown were really cool.
Yeah.
And Riz jumps out the window of this cool building action scene. And then a wraith shows up.
Yeah, is this the first time I've seen one? I was gonna say it is, but don't remember for sure. I know it is this season for sure.
Yeah, I know there's a big battle in season 1, but I think it's banshees that we see.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing a wraith, so it's cool seeing that.
Yeah, so we finally get to see a wraith, which is really awesome.
Covenant tank.
Yes, if you don't know what a wraith is, if you're not used to Halo terminology, it's a super cool tank. It's like purple and has like a big cannon. I think does it have a minigun on it too?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so it has like just a plasma cannon and plasma everything. Super cool. They're fun to pilot in the games too.
Oh yeah.
It's very satisfying blowing things up with them. And so that shows up and starts firing at them, and more elites are there also.
Yeah.
So they're just getting fired at. And Riz's friend, the guy that has been in the past 2 episodes, that has been kind of helping her with like her physical injury and like talking to her about maybe trying to do something else besides fight. He sacrifices himself to destroy the wraith.
Isn't that the blind dude or no?
Is he blind?
Yeah, the bald dude with facial hair.
I thought 2 people died.
Maybe that's how pointless the other character was. Because this guy's been in a couple episodes.
Yeah, this guy, maybe he is blind and I just didn't notice the entire time. But he had a friend that died also.
That was probably, was it his friend or his boyfriend?
I think boyfriend.
Okay, yeah, that's him. And yeah, he's blind. And that's why I was like, why the fuck is this guy carrying a weapon?
Okay.
This is wild.
Yeah, that makes more sense. So, once he realizes his boyfriend is dead, he's just like, I'll just sacrifice myself to go kill this wraith. Which, again, these 2 characters, it's like, okay, cool, they're dead. I do like that they're showing casualties though, because if the Covenant did invade, people are gonna die.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And especially Spartans if they don't have their armor. But so he destroys the wraith, he sacrifices himself, dies, rest in peace. I don't even know his name, but he's dead. And John is like, Riz, we gotta go. So they leave. We're back to Halsey and Soren after this scene, unless do you have anything else to say?
It could be said at a few different spots, but I guess I'll say it here. I'm wondering why this show relies on the energy sword so much. It definitely comes back up later. The energy sword is easily one of the coolest weapons in Halo, and when you see it in the show, it's awesome. But just like every enemy is using it. I'm like,
everyone has an energy sword.
Like the energy sword is so cool in Halo because it's not that common. When you see it, you're like, oh shit, the sword.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe the argument would be that they don't want to, well, they are overusing that definitely, but they don't want to spoil all the weapons and all the things in the first couple seasons. But there's a lot of different choices in everything in Halo: weapons, vehicles, characters, everything, that they could definitely have more variety. I don't know if it's just to save money or what it is, but yeah, it's not just that annoying just seeing the swords over and over. It's a bummer not being able to see all the other possibilities that they have. And I feel like for people that don't know Halo, just seeing the enemies with always carrying swords is gonna get a little old.
Yeah, and I'm like, there's so many cool Covenant weapons.
Yeah,
too. Like we haven't even seen the. We've seen plasma rifles. We've seen the needler like once or twice. Energy swords we've seen often. Did we see the hammer?
Yeah, because the chieftain, I think, came in at the end of season 1 with it. If I remember right.
Yeah. So we saw the gravity hammer, but like we haven't seen the green rifle. That they use. I don't remember what it's called.
Fuel rod, the one that shoots out like little bombs. Unless you're talking about the plasma pistol, we've seen the grunt.
We've seen the plasma pistol. The other one. It's one of your weapons in Halo 3 if you play as I can't think of his name. I talked about him last week. Arbiter. Yeah, he has the plasma rifle and then the other weapon.
Trying to think of what that would be. You said
It's
it's
kind of
green, right?
yeah, it's kind of like the human version. Not the assault rifle, but the other one, battle rifle maybe.
Oh, that's you might be thinking that might be why I'm mixed up. The only thing it's green on is like the radar or whatever
Yeah,
on
yeah.
top of it, but it's purple. The carbine rifle.
Oh
Is that what
yeah,
you're thinking of?
yeah. The
Okay.
gun itself is purple, but
Yeah.
it has like the green on the top of
Yeah,
it,
that's it.
and it turns red when you're out of ammo.
Yep.
But yeah, that gun.
Okay.
I don't think we've seen that in the show.
We have. I haven't realized it.
Yeah, and then the brutes have like their pistols that are really cool,
Yeah.
and their sniper rifles. Like, there's so many weapons that they could
Oh yeah.
have in this, and they're
Especially.
like
Oh, go ahead.
they're just like energy sword.
Yeah, especially because they're just pulling from all different places in Halo and the book sometimes. So, yeah, there's not endless choices, but there's a whole lot of variety that they're not taking advantage of.
So we get a lot of energy swords, and
Yeah.
I do like them.
Oh, yeah.
They look so cool, and like they look perfect actually. Honestly, like the elites look really good too. Like
Yeah.
they look amazing. It's just they could definitely use other weapons.
Yeah.
It seems like they just got plasma rifles and energy swords.
Yep.
Also, no grunts in this
No.
invasion.
Nope.
They're like, nah, we're sending the elites,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah. That's, I think, just again, it speaks to the lack of variety. And like I said, maybe it's a cost cutting thing, but if you're going to do something like Halo, I feel like you can only cost cut so much too if you want to try and make Halo.
Yeah, and like the last 3 episodes, there hasn't been much, so like your budget can go into, a couple grunts
Yeah.
running around. I feel like they cloak the elites a lot too.
Yeah.
Notice that.
Definitely.
So, like, they're uncloaked for a little bit and then they die.
Yeah.
But yeah, so John and Riz run away. That's where we left off. And we're back to Halsey and Soren. They're trying to find another way out. Halsey mentions they have somebody else, and they go to get Cortana.
Yeah, is this the first time Halsey's seen Cortana since like early season 1, or has she not?
I think so.
I'm trying to remember.
I feel like maybe towards the end she saw her of season 1,
Yeah.
but they're reunited
Yeah.
in season 2. And Cortana tells her to run, and the Blessed One is there. Have we heard the Blessed One talk in this season?
I don't think so.
Or if she has, it's been like maybe one word.
Yeah.
But the Blessed One is there, and then she kind of just leaves. And an elite shows up with an energy sword, and Soren throws a grenade at it, and it blows up and knocks Halsey and Soren into the wall.
Yeah.
So Soren killed an elite.
Hell yeah.
Pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
And he is cool. I wish he had armor also.
Uh-huh.
But he is a cool guy. I thought he was cool in season 1 also.
Yeah.
It's just he got stuck with one of the most annoying plot lines in the show. But overall, he's a cool character.
Yeah.
So now we're back to John and Riz, and they make it back to base. Their guns are just taken as soon as they walk in. Like, it's like they're in the middle of battle and just someone walks up and just takes their guns.
Uh-huh.
There's a ton of people injured, like a lot. Like, obviously, they started exploding buildings, so there's going to be a ton of people that are hurt. But they show that. And John tells Riz they got to suit up. And I'm like, yes, finally, they're going to suit up. And Perez stops Chief and says thanks, and then Chief gives her a coin. I think it lands on heads.
Yeah.
Back to his story earlier in the
Uh-huh.
episode. Then Vanek is there, and he says a few elites snuck in the base. Chief tells them again they need to get suited up, and Vanek tells them that their armor is gone and that Ackerson took the suits.
Yeah, I think Master Chief was speaking for the whole audience, but then at the same time, I'm confused why he was so surprised and upset they couldn't have their suits, because he should be pretty used to it by now.
Yeah. I was really mad, though. I was like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Like, I paused it. And I was like, you really just built that up and we're like, no, they're not getting suits for this fight.
I think I would have been more upset, but I was just so, especially when it started, I was like, okay, yeah, they're definitely going to use this as an excuse that this is why they can't have it. And like I said, I don't think that should happen at all in the Halo universe that they don't have their suits. But even if you're going to do it different, yeah, this would be there's excuses when you could do it, and this would have been one of them. But when you've done that, the rest of the series in it just
And like,
gets old.
what does Ackerson taking the suits do for the plot? Like, are we just the next episode? We're just gonna get a episode of Master Chief going to get his suit back. Like, I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah.
Like, is Ackerson gonna wear the suit? Like,
Oh Jesus, I hope not.
what's happening here? So I was annoyed by that. Biggest negative of the whole episode is this entire episode they didn't have their suits.
Yeah. Well,
Because
hey,
it was just a generic sci-fi show at that point.
yeah. Which that's my main criticism of the show. I think it is good and getting better, but it's just. I mean, this episode felt more like Halo in ways, but overall, as an overarching show, just feels less like Halo and more like a good sci-fi show.
Yeah.
But talking about him wearing a suit, just spoiling ahead a little bit here. There'll be an available suit, it seems like, for one of them, so he could at least wear one of those.
Yeah. So John then approaches Keyes, who's there, leading the troops. Someone has to, because everyone else just dipped. And Keyes apologizes for not believing him and tells him that he saw the bodies of Cobalt Team. It's about time someone apologized to Master Chief, because for 3 episodes they were like, you're delusional.
And this also confirmed what you asked, and I said I thought so, but I wasn't sure either that was Cobalt Team.
Cobalt Team.
Saw. Yeah.
In the last episode.
Yeah.
Because Ackerson was like, what bodies? Basically. So just saying they're just missing in action.
Yeah.
What a jerk. Really hate that guy. And he took the suits away from us, so now we have even more reason to hate him. So Keyes tells John that they're taking out the power stations and the glassing will begin soon. We know glassing is bad. It's basically the Covenant's version of a Death Star. They just destroy your planet. So then Keyes tells him that like leadership knew that Reach was going to fall, and then Keyes tells him he's going to make the Covenant pay for every inch of this planet, so he's fighting for it. And John asks where he's needed, and he gets sent kind of to like this bridge thing, which we'll talk about in a couple scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he says a name to where he gets sent, but I didn't write it down.
I think you're right, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, but he gets sent somewhere. That's important. I think it's mostly to evacuate civilians is what their goal is. But after this, we jump back to Soren and Halsey, who love each other very much. Also, no, I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
I had a point that I completely forgot and was reminded when 2 characters meet again for the first time. Yeah, I'll talk about it in a second.
I think that's something I brought up last week. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
But Soren, their last scene, a grenade went off and they get smacked against the wall. And Soren helps Halsey up, and Halsey says that they have Cortana. So the Covenant now have Cortana.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know exactly what the goal is after this episode. We can talk about it once we talk about everything. But they kind of set up like a bunch of tiny little plot lines while also dealing with Reach getting attacked. So I'm kind of curious like where they're going to go after this. And Halsey tells Soren that she let him leave when he left as a Spartan.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. Because we see him leave in season 1. But wasn't exactly sure what to do with this information.
Yeah. I literally thought the same thing as, but
like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for telling us, I guess. I think the information meant more to Soren than to us,
Yeah.
because Halsey does tend to control the Spartans, but yeah, so she let him leave. And that was that scene.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that's all they were saying, that she was trying to connect with him, be like, I have full control over you and I treated you different, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because she said some other things earlier in the episode, like he's like the best Spartan. That might be later, but or like they look to him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really weird, because she definitely has said things like that to John. So
And he is the go-to Spartan, but guess not.
yeah, Soren is.
Uh-huh.
So John will probably die in the next 2 episodes, and Soren will become Master Chief.
Yeah. I don't think it's really gonna happen. I know you're joking, but we're gonna talk about that later. It'll come up.
You got it. So we're back to Keys, and this is when Keys gives a really great speech. It's a really good part of the show. He hands John his hat and then starts giving a speech. I tried to write down the entire thing. I was telling you this before we were recording. I couldn't do it. I had it on my phone, with this little box in the corner, and was trying to write it down quote for quote, and I kept having to pause it, and I was like, okay, this isn't happening. But if you guys want to hear the speech, it's if you just look up Halo Episode 4 Reach Keys speech, it pops up immediately.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought this speech was really well done. I think I said multiple times on here, I still feel this way, that they totally don't take advantage of the Halo music, which is part of that video that we'll talk about next week. But this, and there's one other time in this episode, was, even though I think they should take full advantage of the Halo music, and it's a very big missed opportunity, this was one moment where I thought the non-Halo music fit well and was good. I still don't think it would have been as good as Halo, but I thought it fit well. Right before this, the Marine gets the attention of all the other Marines about the speech. I don't know if you noticed, but I thought something about his attention was real awkward leading into the speech. It didn't seem very Marine-like. It seemed like kind of like a nerd trying to act like a Marine.
I think I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I didn't think about it as he was doing it, but
yeah, it sounded weird as soon as I heard it. I almost chuckled at it, and then a great speech and good music to follow it made it a little kind of even weirder. But no, the speech was really well done.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I have it kind of summarized. He basically talks about, at the start of the speech, not seeing defeat or surrender in their faces, and he sees courage in all of them, and that they're the finest Marines he's ever seen. And then he goes and starts telling them, hey, the enemies are at our gates, and we're outnumbered, and he's like, we won't survive, basically, is what he's saying, which, it makes sense. They're outnumbered, out technology-wise. This is a fight that's pretty, it's set in stone.
Yeah.
So he tells them that. He's pretty straightforward with them. And then he calls John up and introduces him as Master Chief. And then he's like, he needs no armor. And I was like, wonderful. Here we go. They're just, letting us know that he needs no armor.
Yeah, when he introduces him Master Chief, he calls him up first, says, John. And then he's like, this is Master Chief. And all the Marines look highly confused, because I feel like it's the audience, wait, this John guy's Master Chief, all right.
It's like, hey, John, come up here. I just think he's a regular guy, and he's like, this is Master Chief.
Oh, shit. He's standing right next to me.
And then he's like, show the warrior inside him and to lay down their life for their home. And then he's like, basically, we can let them know they fucked with the wrong planet, which was well delivered. And I think he says some other stuff too. But I think that's the end of the speech, though. He says they fucked with the wrong planet.
Yeah, This was really well done, especially if you watch the after show. I can't remember the actor's name that plays him, but he's British, and I feel like you could never tell a lot of times.
Not at all. Yeah.
Especially in shows that are somewhat questionable at times, like this show. I feel like that's something you definitely notice, his accent slipping, and I feel like I wouldn't even known he was British.
Yeah, I think is the guy who plays Rick British because like when he says Carl.
Oh yeah, Rick. I think you meant Nissa.
Oh no, there's no
Jesus,
Rick.
I really
Sorry,
follow this show.
I jumped.
Oh yeah, yeah, he is.
Yeah, because a lot of people make fun of him when he says Carl because it's so funny.
Oh yeah, I quote that all the time. And like I say, he's my favorite character. I think generally he does a great job at doing an American accent. But yeah, there's the Carl scene is priceless.
One of the best scenes in the whole show. They were interviewing other actors from The Walking Dead and having them do their best Carl impression, and it was really funny.
Oh God.
But yeah, it's fantastic. So epic speech. Didn't say it quote for quote, but just go watch it.
Yeah.
It's the actor did a good job, and I wanted to fight for Reach after hearing this speech. I was like, just give me a gun. I'll go. I'll wear the suit for Master Chief. So then after this speech, Keyes asks for a gun, but John is like, no, like you're not fighting. Because he's like, you have to, like, someone has to give orders and help get these civilians off. And John's like, we need good people like you.
I didn't think about it till you just said this. He spoiling ahead here. He really screwed Captain Keyes over though.
Yeah.
He really did need a weapon.
He did. It's gonna get real sad here soon. And I was actually really shocked by this, like what happens to him.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah, me either.
I was like, yeah. Well, we'll talk about it here in a second. So John and the crew get ready to make their stand. They have a tank. I don't remember what they're called. Scorpions. Yeah, they're really cool too.
Oh yeah.
And Vanek and Riz are also there. Kai is nowhere to be found, which I think is mentioned at some point. It might have already been mentioned in the episode, or maybe it's a little later.
I thought I had a note, but yeah, they talked about her not being there.
But yeah, they definitely mentioned, like, where's Kai? We don't know. But I think she was with Ackerson in the last episode. So she might have been kidnapped by Ackerson. I know she was telling Ackerson, like, put me on the front lines. So I'm kind of curious where they're going with that. If she did get taken by Ackerson, because you would think she would be there fighting with them if she was able to be. So then we're back to Halsey and Soren, and they get to where Keyes is, and Soren's ready to leave. He's been ready to leave this whole episode. Mm-hmm. Like, he's ready to get out of here. They have a really weird interaction where Keyes tells him that he's a pirate, not a civilian. And I know Soren says something back, but I didn't write it down.
Yeah, something smart ass.
It was like a really like smart comment back to him. And then they all get in the elevator, which is probably the most awkward elevator ride ever because Keyes and Halsey were like together at one point, and Soren hates Halsey, and obviously Keyes doesn't like Soren either. So it's probably one of the, like, Reach is falling, but they're in a really awkward situation on top of it. So then we're back to Vanek, Riz, and John. They're just going to call him John the rest of the show. Like, there's no point in calling him Master Chief. They're waiting for the Covenant, and this was really cool. They fire a tank round because there's like a cloud of like dust or like fog or whatever, and they fire a round, and there's just a bunch of elites, and they just start, like, it just lights up, and the elites are just shown. So we're back to, it jumps again, back to Halsey.
Yeah.
And Halsey asks about Miranda, but she's not on the planet, which we were wondering where she was in the last episode. Yeah. And she is off planet, so now we know where Miranda is. And Halsey tells Keyes that they have Cortana, and that she saw the blessed one.
Yeah.
So she was blessed We were too. For our 1 second blessed one screen time. So then civilians are all getting on the ship, and Soren draws his gun and walks towards the exit because he's got like those Spartan senses.
Yeah.
And jackals jump up, and it's like, oh crap.
And in the background, well, you see Reach continually falling apart, and then I don't know if you noticed, and I don't know for sure, but to me it looked like a bunch of drop pods. I don't think ODST, unfortunately, but it's funny that we mentioned that, I think, last week.
Yeah, we did.
And then there's what appeared to be Covenant drop pods falling in on Reach, and you would assume smashing into the ground and them getting out. So I thought that was cool seeing that. And then, yeah, first time seeing jackals all season and a shit ton of them.
Yeah.
And for a second, I had to look this up. I won't lie. I totally forgot. I was like, "Are you shitting me?" They gave the jackal swords. I was like, "Oh my god!" But then I remembered once I read it too that in Reach as well, the game Reach, they have energy daggers, which are like mini things that you use. And I was like, oh. And if you zoom in, you can tell, or not zoom in, I couldn't do that by pause, and could tell that there wasn't like the gap between the swords. There were just little like hooks they had. So I thought that was actually cool that they had something from the games and kind of obscure that I feel like I would even play Halo, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
And then even more so, there was something from Reach with this being on Reach. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the jackals look amazing.
Yeah.
Like spot on, perfect. Yeah. So they jump up, they start firing, and we jump back to John and the crew, and they're gunning down elites. And Keyes radios and tells them the upper deck is under attack, and Chief and Riz and Vanek are going to go help. So they kind of leave the other people there to fight off the elites. And the upper hangar thing that they're in it's getting wrecked. They were not ready clearly for these jackals. And Perez is there telling civilians to get on board. And they're about to take off, and the fuel lines were connected, which you would think they would have disconnected them if they knew they were going to be taking off, but they did not. So Keyes has to go and disconnect these fuel lines. And he goes, and a group of jackals corner him. Remember, he doesn't have his gun. Like, Chief really screwed him over. And he disconnects the lines, and Keyes tells Perez, like, you got to punch it. Like, you got to get out of here. And she doesn't want to because she's clearly understanding what's going to happen. And Keyes puts, like, a explosive in his mouth or something.
Yeah.
I think it's it's a pipe. It's like he's like, so that he can explode the fuel thing.
Which made it feel even more like Sergeant Johnson, because Sergeant Johnson always had his cigar in his mouth. So you guys you're mixing up some weird things here.
Yeah. So he puts the pipe in his mouth and blows himself up so they can leave, and they take off, and then John and the other Spartans arrive. Too late.
Yeah, this I didn't see this coming either, and I feel like it's a weird decision, but just judging it as they did it, I think it was a well done scene.
Oh yeah,
and the music again, not Halo, and I think should have been, but I think this is another point where the music was good at least. Cause I think that's the only reason it stood out, because most music is so forgettable that I don't even recognize music being there.
Yeah,
in these two scenes, I thought the music was well done.
And like just overall, his death scene was good.
Yeah,
and definitely died honorably for his planet.
Yeah,
he got civilians off, so that was good. During this scene, I connected because I totally forgot that Halsey and Keyes were a thing. Because I was like, because the next scene, Halsey is just crying, and I'm like, what is going on? Why is she crying? And I was like, oh, yeah, they were a thing. They have a kid and all that. And so I put it together, like, in my brain. I'm like, why is she crying so much? I'm like, oh, got it. So, because Halsey and Soren look, and the hangar's just gone because the ship left, and then explosion. So she's crying. More explosions are happening. More jackals come in. And then a fight starts happening in the hallway, and elites walk in, and another action scene happens, and then more elites come in.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write what the action scene was. I just put super cool action scene.
Oh, definitely was that.
So it was a super cool action scene. I don't know if you have more on it, but
I don't until I'm assuming it's coming up. I know right before this, when you were seeing them looking back at the hangar and everything, you got another good shot of them overlooking Reach, and they're kind of just taking in how much it was falling apart, and you can see the progress of the planet falling apart even more.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't think anything in this scene until you go a little more. I want to get ahead of what I think you're probably going to talk about.
The next thing I have is John. I think he goes after elites, maybe? I don't know who he's going after. I put goes after them. I'm assuming elites.
Yeah.
But then he has a really cool fight between him and an elite, and John gets an energy sword, and an elite shoots John with a plasma gun.
Yeah,
and
plasma
then
pistol here.
Yeah, plasma pistol. And the blessed one saves him from dying. And then Vanek shoots the elite with a needler, I think. A needle.
Well, before that, there's this is what I thought you were going to talk about. I guess we could get into it here. One of the elites, yeah, it's probably by order of Blessed One, but cuts the elite's head off that shot at John.
Oh, yeah.
And cuts his head off. And then I don't know if it's ordered by her or he's mad that because it was his kill and he wanted to do it.
Oh, yeah.
So it could be either way. But what I thought you were going to say is, you talked about last week, I feel like they're implying this is the Arbiter because he was taking control over all the elites. And the last episode, that transmission where they were like decoding it, and it sounded just like the Arbiter talking.
Yeah.
So again, they seem to be handling it different in a very odd way, but I feel like this is the Arbiter, and if it's not, again, I feel like they need to realize what the audience is probably going to be thinking if they keep doing things like this.
Yeah. I didn't even put it together that he might be the Arbiter. That would be super cool if they did use his character.
Yeah, I think so too, especially if they could get the actual, it's obviously not him yet, but the actual voice actor, but he's not speaking straight up English yet, so you could still have a chance at that, but I don't think they will. I always say his name backwards, so I'm going to, just one second. I can't remember if it's David Keith or Keith David. I always mix it up and then say it the wrong way. David Keith is an extremely nerdy-looking white guy, so Keith David. Fucking fantastic voice, and he voices the Arbiter once he starts speaking English or human, I'll say.
Yeah.
And he's a huge actor, so I doubt they could get him, but that'd be awesome if they did once, assuming this is Arbiter.
Yeah.
Once he starts speaking English, or human, I should say again, because that'd be awesome. But, yeah, if this isn't the Arbiter, like I said, I feel like they need to stop setting these things up and make people think certain things.
Yeah, because it definitely seems like he would be the Arbiter. They'll probably give him a weird name.
Yeah, I was going to make one up, but who knows what they would do. Yeah, especially the way that there's all those elites, and then he's so focused on John, they're like focused on each other. And it's exactly how the Arbiter and Master Chief do in the game.
Yeah, and I mean, Arbiter switches sides.
Yeah.
So he's a big character.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, do all the elites switch? That's like a big thing, right? All of them?
Not all of them do.
But some of them do.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal, though, because as you see, they use elites a ton.
Yeah. Because Covenant is just, I feel like when I was younger, a lot of people misunderstood it, and I was one of them, but you'd think, I thought the Covenant was a race, and I was like, what?
Same.
This is weird because there's all these different creatures.
Yeah.
But then when I got older, I realized it was a religion, and that's why. So it makes sense that not all elites would switch over, because any religion, even if you're the same species, not everybody's going to switch sides.
Right. But yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, they're the same race, but they all look different. But no, it makes sense when you actually know that it's a religion.
One thing I put in a note here that made me realize as well, that I feel like they're implying Arbiter. Soren says, friend of yours to John. When the assuming Arbiter comes running at him, I was like, he seems like weird lines to just have a random elite coming at him.
Yeah. I hope it is Arbiter. If it's not, then I need an explanation.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Or it's just going to be, oh, he's just a random elite.
Yeah, because, like I said, last episode, him speaking in Sung Healy and then, like, trying to decode it seemed like it was a big moment, and then to lead into this, I feel like that's definitely seems like that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Seems like it should be important.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so the Blessed One saves him from death. John should have died, probably. And then Vanek shoots the elite with a needler.
Yeah.
And then he gets stabbed and dies.
Yeah. This is a death that I thought was handled very weirdly, and if you had your armor, it probably would have helped. But the elite just grabs a single needle and stabs him in the heart and then blows up.
Yeah.
Which, if you're just seeing that, if you don't know Halo, that makes perfect sense. You're getting not only stabbed in the heart, but an explosion. But a needler, you shoot like 20 of them and then it explodes. If you even shoot like 5, 6, just kind of injures somebody.
Yeah.
So again, just Halo logic
Just
just seems
one.
very weird.
Yeah, and he just stabbed him.
Uh-huh.
And I was expecting Riz to die. I think I said that
Yeah.
a couple podcasts ago, just because how they were like showing her injury and stuff. But no, they killed Vanek, who might have been. No, he's probably my third favorite.
Yeah, he's my third favorite, and I won't lie. I know I said last episode I don't think they'll kill any of them. Now I'm wondering, this is where it connects to earlier. I don't think they'll kill Master Chief as they do. I think they really, really don't understand their audience.
Yeah.
Which is already very good argument to make for that. But I'm wondering now if they really do kill off all the other Spartans, because we talked about the Reach stories in general being like that, and all the Spartans die on Reach. But I don't think with Master Chief being there, you can kill all of them.
Right.
But I'm wondering now if they just start killing them off slowly and they go off kind of like in the Reach game, how every episode or every gamer or every level or two, there's another Spartan that starts following. You don't have nearly as many to work with here, but you also have way less episodes than you do levels in Reach.
Right. Yeah, and Kai's not here, so we know something's going on with her.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so the Blessed One and maybe Arbiter leave. Please be Arbiter. And, is the Blessed One there just to get Halo artifacts? Is that what is happening with the Blessed One? Because I don't really know why she's there at all.
Well, I know she's kind of in this weird Halo universe, kind of leader of the Covenant for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why she would like travel with them, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, it's like really funky, and she got shot. So how's she alive? Like, is that going to be explained at all?
That goes in my next thing. Is Vanek, like I said, this seems to imply that all of them start dying, but is Vanek really dead? You could be. Obviously, you're like, of course he is. He got stabbed in the heart and he exploded, but we also saw somebody get shot in the head, so...
Yeah.
Is he dead?
Now, they made it look like he was dead because the last scene, I mean, he's laying there with a hole in his chest, so I would assume he's dead. But it's sci-fi, so we can't really guarantee that. They could do a lot of different things to revive him.
Yeah, especially... with that character being there that you mentioned.
Yeah. So, the Blessed One and the Elite leave and take John out of the room, and then Vanek is just sitting there with a hole in his chest, and that's how the episode ends.
Yeah. I could see them doing something lame where he comes back to life or something. And like I said, he's my third favorite, and I didn't think any of them should really die, even the ones that I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah.
Well, Riz is the only row one. But now that they've done it, I feel like it would be lame to retroactively take it back, especially because I said how this would come back up with the birds. I actually thought this was surprisingly well done for how the show can jump around and things don't even come back to them. I feel like the beginning of the episode was symbolism for the end of the episode, because when you said how there's a hole in his heart, there's also a hole in the sky that he's looking up at, and birds fly over.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was connecting to the beginning of the episode and kind of bring it full circle, and I thought it was really well done. And if you're gonna, like I said, I didn't want him to die off, but if you're gonna, I think you handled it well, even though the way he died I think is weird and doesn't really make sense in Halo logic. But
Yeah, and it wasn't, because usually character deaths in a show, like, I would be hurt by. Like, I'm like, oh, I like that character. Keyes, I kind of felt some emotion just because his speech was really good, and I liked him overall as a character. Vanek, I was like, oh, he's dead.
really, I felt kind of the same way I did with Keyes, because I think part of it was, like I said, I didn't think any of them would die, so I was like, oh shit. I feel like in most shows I kind of expect things like that to happen to shock people, so like The Walking Dead's a prime example. Now you're just like, oh yeah, that guy's gonna die, just a matter of when.
Yeah, but like when Walking Dead first came on TV, it was more, I feel like the deaths were more emotional, and then as it went on, it was just like,
definitely,
we know someone's gonna die. And
yeah,
that
for sure.
But that was the best part, is you didn't know who was gonna die in Walking Dead. This, and like, you were attached to Walking Dead characters, I feel like, more than they do in this show. Like, if John died, I don't really know how much emotion I would feel with that either. I'm not sure why that is. I think it's how they're writing the story, because everything is so jumpy, maybe, and like, I'm not getting like a full character background on some of these characters.
Yeah, I can't act like I'd be crying or anything, even with Vanek. I was just kind of bummed. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But I do know I would be emotional, and I know what emotion it'd be. I'd just be fucking pissed off if they killed off John.
Yeah.
I know for sure that. Like, are you shitting me?
Yeah, I'd just be mad. The blessed one, I think we were sad about.
Yeah. Yes and no, because like I said, aside from my selfish reasons, I'm like, I think we could move her, Kwan Ha, some of this nonsense out of here, make a lot better show.
Yeah.
But yeah, selfishly, I was sad about. And I think I talked about last episode, maybe 2 episodes ago. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of her new hairstyle. And after seeing her again the second time in the episode, I can confirm, at least for me, I'm not a fan of her hairstyle. She almost looks unattractive. I'm like, man, this hairstyle is really, really ruining it.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
Definitely different from the season 1 blessed one.
Yeah. And it's not like her hairstyle really stood out in the first season. So I think it's kind of a reverse Kwan Ha, how her hair is not as terrible this season.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, now you put on this character? How dare you? But I don't know. I liked how this episode ended in general. That I love cliffhangers more than anything, especially when they're well done. But this show has an issue of doing that and then just completely going off and not doing it. Like I said, that's what part of what made this episode so good that it connected directly to the last episode. But they either have an episode doing that where they cliffhanger and don't follow through with it, or an episode ends and you're just like, oh, that's it?
Yeah.
And I feel like this episode felt like an ending without trying to do either of those. It's just like, oh.
Just kind of ended.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure where they're going to go from here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I liked the episode. I'm not sure what the next episode will be. Like, I feel like next episode could be the Kwan Ha episode that we don't want.
I hope not. I feel like it's definitely going to be less action. Like I said, when I predicted an action episode this episode, my reasoning was it's halfway through the season.
Yeah.
And I hope you don't even need this much action every episode following. But like I said, some in between. But my worry is they knew this is a halfway point, give you a big action episode, back to the regular mundane stuff that we've seen so far, and then cap it off with a huge episode.
Yeah.
But I hope that this kind of, I feel like we said this multiple times, so the hope is far out there, but that this is a stepping stone to realize certain things they did well and to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the way you do that is to continue to see Reach falling and the Spartans go one by one, and then whatever the eventual ending is, maybe figure out about the Arbiter and the Master Chief, and eventually go into Halo, the actual,
like the actual
yeah
thing that we're waiting for.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think I peeked ahead at the episode titles, and I think the last episode of the season is titled Halo.
Yeah, I can't remember which episode we talked about that, but I asked you on here because I said I didn't want to spoil it. And yeah, the last episode is called Halo. So
Yeah.
seems to imply that
So
again.
I'm hoping we get more of that. You want to go into Ha rankings?
We can do that. I think, just one more thing. I feel like I can already see it now. The last episode ends with them like saying like, "What's that?" or something, and then you see Halo like shining, and then it just cuts to black, and then that's the end of
That's
it.
the
And
end.
we better get a season 3 at that point because I could see it where they're like, "Yeah," and then just Halo ends.
Yeah.
Like, before you get to Halo, we can do the hot rankings. I think I was first last time, so feel free to start if you want.
Yeah, I will. I'll do that. Let's see. So this episode, I rated 7.5 out of 10. I think it's the best episode of the season so far. I think, yeah, because I think I gave the first one 6, and then 5, and then 6 again, or something like that. It was what I wanted in episode 3, because they kind of said the Covenant were on Reach at the end of episode 2. But finally, we get the action.
Yeah.
The reason why I didn't give it like a 10 is because the suit thing really just, it made me really mad.
Yeah.
Like, just the middle of the episode, he's going to get his suit, and they're like, no, you can't have it.
Yeah.
And that's just so frustrating to me because, again, it just feels like a sci-fi show. Like, it's not Halo. It's just a guy named John running around killing aliens. He needs the suit. And I think with the suit, I probably would have gave it like a 9. I don't think it's perfect, but the action was fun and had some good sacrifices in there. And overall, I think it went together. Like, the whole episode, as a whole, like a solo episode, it was good.
Yeah. You led with the numbers, so I'll do that. Mine, this might be the first uneven, is at 8.9.
Ooh.
My biggest issue is definitely the suits as well. I think with that, it would take it close to a 10. I don't know if I would do that, but close to like a 9 point. I don't know. I'd have to see it, but 9.8 or something.
Yeah.
Because this episode's so solid aside from, and it sounds like my number doesn't really match what I talk about, but the questionable things they do are just stand out so much more than the positive things, and even the positive things they do, it's not like you can talk about every little action part over and over. But I think the episode is mostly well done and would have just been amplified so much more if it, because this was the first episode that most of it felt like Halo in the way that they were the things you were seeing, the characters, the weapons, but the suits were our main part of Halo, and just not having those, I think, instantly took it down. And I was thinking about one thing that I feel like people that defend the show would say, and I think, again, it could be a fair argument if you didn't look at the rest of the series, is that they do pull from the books a lot, as we talked about.
Yeah.
And in some of the books, I think even Fall of Reach, if I remember right, there is scenes where they fight without their suits on. So I feel like you could make that argument, but I feel like I said, kind of like we talked about before, I think the argument falls apart when you take every other chance you can get to do it too. I feel like you only get so many chances at that if you want to have excuses for it.
Yeah.
So,
like, if it was 50-50, then I'd be fine with it. It's not. It's 90-10.
That's what
maybe
I was
more.
gonna say.
It might be 95-5.
This episode is 100-0.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in his suit this season probably for 10 minutes, like total of screen time. Maybe a little bit more. I think the first episode he was in his suit for probably 10 minutes, and then another one for maybe 5. He's never in his suit, like ever.
That's why this episode, I mean, I rated it high, but there's a big difference in 8.9 and close to 10. That's why I wouldn't even put it at a 9. And even that might be overranking it, but I feel like I try not to, but I feel like if you look back at season 1, it's hard not to base off of expectations and excitement. And I feel like with everything leading up to this and what could have been and what should have been, getting an episode that followed through with some of that finally probably amped the score a little more than it should, because not having the suit should take it down a big time.
Yeah, and it was a good episode. Like, I enjoyed like from start to finish, I enjoyed watching it, and all the action scenes were really well done.
Yeah.
And even like the dialogue moments I thought actually mattered this episode.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the show you're getting dialogue and it's like, what does this even mean? Or you're getting random insults from Spartan teams, or a guy changing a sign on a board, or just random crap like that. And like this episode didn't have that.
Yeah.
It had like every scene felt like it mattered to the story, even with like the Vanek thing at the beginning, him feeding his birds. I mean, he's dead now, so like even that scene meant something too.
Yeah, and as I said, I thought that was really well done, especially if you look at the rest of the show. That's usually something like, what the hell was that? And then normal show would go back to that, and Halo just so many times does not, and you're like, really, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
So to see it actually, I feel like a lot of people probably didn't put that together, and not saying I'm an expert or anything. I feel like if you just watch it, you don't really think about that. I didn't realize until I watched it the second time to take notes. So yeah, definitely not judging anybody that doesn't. And I feel like that's something that you take for granted, as you should with most shows, because I don't think that's that hard to do if you're creating shows. So I think that also says something about the quality of Halo show so far.
Yeah. And like they also did the coin thing, John telling the story about the coin, and then like when he goes in the battle, he knows someone will die, but just not him.
Yeah.
That happened. Yeah. So that was good. That was a good scene because it connected to later.
Yeah.
And they don't do that usually. So.
And no Quan Ha, so I'm gonna change my score to 10.
You're right. Every episode without Quan Ha gets an automatic 10, even though we call them the Ha rankings.
Yeah.
As a joke, we hate Quan Ha. But you might love Quan Ha if you're listening. So sorry that we hate on your favorite character.
I don't know if you've seen Trevor finally start giving some Ha ratings. Everybody else do it. Trevor continue to do it. He's rating it a lot higher than us so far. He's high on it.
Interesting. I haven't even seen his. I'm going to look actually right now. I want to see what he gave the episodes.
First time I asked him if that was actually a score or not. Hey, I'm not judging, like I said. That's why I want to hear what other people think, because it could be completely different.
Oh, yeah. We could be. If you like every episode, that's good. I'm glad.
But his was so high that I didn't know if he was being serious or if he just put something because we asked him to. But
just
he said,
a number, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm curious.
I think he did the first 2 so far. I guess only one other we've recorded so far. So
yeah. Let's see. He gave it a 10.
Yep.
Holy crap. Oh, the comments are great. You were like, is this actually your number? And then he was like, maybe 9 because I haven't watched the first few minutes, but I still enjoyed the episode. And you're just like, this is the most Trevor review ever.
Yeah, he
maybe 9.
I have something a 10 and then says I didn't even watch all of it.
Yeah, that's definitely different than what we said. Episode 2 was Sword, right?
Yeah.
They're all out of order on here for some reason.
Which Sword makes sense now because they think that's the only weapon in these fucking shows. So.
One comment. He gave it 8. 8 Haas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is high on it. It's crazy. But if you guys give it a 10, then go for it.
Yeah, if you give it a 1, let's hear it. Do it, and if you want to give reasons why, like I gave it a 10 because I might have been high that night. Or whatever your reason
only
is.
Watch the first 10 minutes of the show.
Oh man. Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
I am enjoying the show though, even though I'm being critical of it, but that's typically how I am with shows anyway. Like it's not the greatest show I've ever watched in my life. It might never get to where I'm rating episodes 10s or 9s, but I think it is a good sci-fi show.
Yeah.
Because some sci-fi shows really suck. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason why I'm so hard on it is because I know how good Halo can be. And we've said this before, talking about it. But I know how good it can be and how good the story is. So it's frustrating when they give us these little, like, drops of, oh, this could happen, and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just really frustrating. Then the suit thing is also very, very frustrating. Because why do you have cool suits and not use them?
Mm-hmm.
It's a negative for me.
No, I agree with all that.
Especially with such a great character like Master Chief. You can't just not have him in the suit. And we'll probably say that the rest of the season. Like, you're going to hear us say that unless he's in the suit for the next 4 episodes, you're going to hear me say he wasn't in the suit again.
Yeah, usually I do a tracker to show how long they had it on or when they took it off, but that didn't exist this episode because it was never there. So their tracker was they didn't wear them.
Yeah. So there it is. I'm excited for this week's episode.
Me too.
I mean, I'm usually excited anyway, but hopefully it's not a Quan Ha solo episode, or we're gonna have a rough time next week talking about Quan Ha. But yeah, I think that's all my thoughts. Again, comment, let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Episode of Current Backloggers is going to be delayed. If you watch our regular podcast, try and find a time to record it. We were supposed to do it yesterday, but Ryan was sick. So
one day I'll have to do a normal
definitely.
episode.
No, I'll be down for that.
You can hear about my life.
No, I'm totally down for that. So hopefully that'll be up soon after this, and guess we'll look forward to episode 5.
Yes.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right.